Imagine spending your entire life working toward a single moment, defying the odds, rising from a war-torn nation to become the absolute best in your field. You hold the golden ticket. You have the official papers, the diplomatic passport, the blessing of the world's biggest sporting empire. But when you land, none of it matters. Instead of being escorted to the world's grandest stage, you are pulled into a windowless room. For 11 grueling hours, you are questioned not about your career, but about terrorism. All because of where you were born. This is the story of Omar Artan. And when the president of world football was asked why his star official was treated like a criminal and deported, his response shook the sporting world to its core. On the morning of June 12, 2026, just hours after the opening ceremony of the highly anticipated World Cup, two events unfolded simultaneously across the globe. Together, they exposed a fracture in the governance of football deeper than any institutional cover-up or polished press release could ever hide. In Salzburg, Austria, UEFA, the governing body of European football, stunned the world. They announced that Omar Artan, the pride of Somalia and the African continent's referee of the year, would officiate the prestigious 2026 UEFA Super Cup between Paris Saint-Germain and Aston Villa. It was an unprecedented, historic appointment. The first time an African referee would ever lead a major European final. But this wasn't just a routine assignment. This was a direct institutional rescue mission. European football was handing Artan the massive stage he had been cruelly denied just 48 hours earlier by the World Cup's host country. Meanwhile, across the Atlantic in Miami, the atmosphere couldn't have been more different. When journalists confronted the president of FIFA, demanding to know what the ultimate authority of world football was doing to resolve the shocking deportation of their own selected official, the man at the top looked into the cameras, shrugged, and uttered three words that will forever define this tournament: chill and relax. Chill and relax. That was the official response to a 34-year-old man whose lifelong dream was stripped away in an airport corridor. To understand why those three words landed like an institutional slap in the face, we have to look at who Omar Artan actually is. Born in Somalia, Artan didn't just walk onto a football pitch, he survived and thrived in one of the most challenging environments on earth to become a master of his craft. He arrived in Miami on June 6th. He wasn't a gatecrasher. He held a diplomatic passport. He wore his official FIFA accreditation around his neck. He had a verified, legally approved visa. He was an invited dignitary of an event projected. He arrived in Miami on June 6th. He wasn't a gatecrasher. He held a diplomatic passport. He wore his official FIFA accreditation around his neck. He had a verified, legally approved visa. He was an invited dignitary of an event projected. He arrived in Miami on June 6th. He wasn't a gatecrasher. He held a diplomatic passport. He wore his official FIFA accreditation around his neck. He had a verified, legally approved visa. He was an invited dignitary of an event projected. He arrived in Miami on June 6th. He wasn't a gatecrasher. For 11 hours, he was treated not as a guest, but as a suspect. When the interrogation finally ended, no evidence of wrongdoing was found. Yet, the border authorities simply cited vague vetting concerns. He was locked in a cold holding cell, marched onto a commercial airliner, and deported back to Istanbul. His World Cup was over before it even began. In the immediate aftermath, FIFA's corporate machinery did what it does best. It washed its hands of the situation. They issued a carefully sanitized statement confirming Artan would not participate, noting they do not interfere with host country immigration policies. And then came the press conference. The chill and relax directive. But while FIFA was telling the world to look away, something incredible was happening back in Somalia. Thousands of people packed into a stadium in Mogadishu. They didn't gather to watch a match. They gathered just to stand in the stands and welcome a referee home. They wanted to look a broken man in the eye and tell him, "You still matter. Your dream was stolen, but your dignity remains." And that is when European football decided to stage an institutional rebellion. UEFA's president Alexander Cheferin didn't tell people to chill. He did the exact opposite. He coordinated an immediate, powerful counterstrike. UEFA bypassed the corporate red tape and released a statement that targeted the very heart of the injustice. Cheferin stated clearly, Omar Artan is an excellent, experienced referee who has proven himself at the highest level. Football is made to connect people, and UEFA wants to show its absolute respect to Omar and his outstanding skills. Make no mistake, the Super Cup match in Salzburg on August 12th is not a pity prize. It is the curtain raiser of the European calendar, a titanic clash between the winners of the Champions League and the Europa League. By placing Artan in control of this multi-million-dollar spectacle, UEFA wasn't just giving him a job. They were sending a thunderous message to FIFA and the host nation. Your vetting concerns were not football concerns. Your bias is not our bias. And we will use the biggest stage we have to prove it. The tragic reality is that the humiliation of Omar Artan is not an isolated incident. It is part of a systemic operational collapse. The 2026 World Cup was marketed as a grand fiesta of global unity, boasting a 500 million ticket request and a universal welcome. But look at the reality just days into the tournament. Iran launched a furious formal accusation after FIFA abruptly revoked their entire supporter ticket allocation. 14 Iranian officials were flatly denied visas to watch their own team. Switzerland's star player, Briel Mbolo, had his travel authorization mysteriously flagged and placed under review just 10 days before kickoff. An Iraqi striker was held for 7 hours of invasive phone inspections while his team photographer was summarily deported. The pattern is unmistakable. There is a catastrophic chasm between the glossy human rights frameworks FIFA prints in its brochures and the harsh operational reality on the ground. When the system was tested by real people with real lives, the corporate empire flinched. Earlier this year, 8 UEFA delegates openly walked out of a FIFA council meeting in protest of corporate overreach and monopoly abuse. The European revolt isn't a shadow conspiracy. It's a collection of federations and human beings realizing that the soul of the game is being traded for corporate comfort. Omar Artan, with immense grace, told reporters that what happened to him was simply fate and promised he would be at the next World Cup, but he shouldn't have to wait. On August 12th, he will blow the whistle in Salzburg, walking out not just as a referee, but as a symbol of resilience. He reached the top the hardest way imaginable, through a dark corridor in Miami, a painful flight home, and the defiant embrace of his people in Mogadishu. FIFA told us to chill and relax. UEFA reminded us that football is meant to connect us. Two entirely different philosophies issued on the very same day. Now history will decide which side was right. You've watched this sport through enough political cycles to know the difference between an empty corporate PR gesture and genuine conviction. Was UEFA's historic move a real stand for justice? Or is the beautiful game permanently fractured? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. I read every single one. If you believe football stories like this deserve to be told with depth and truth, hit that like button and subscribe for more coverage. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.